Welcome to NewlyTrading.com. News on some of the newest publicly traded companies on the TSXV, OTC, and on the CSE exchanges. Newly Trading is brought to you by TheNewsWire.com, the most affordable newswire service in North America. Get started with your free trial. Today we're talking with Ryan Hamlin, CEO of POSaBIT. Trading symbol is PBIT on the CSE exchange. Good morning, Ryan.
Good morning, Jim.
Thank you for joining us. Ryan, maybe we can start. Give us a little history of POSaBIT, kind of how the company got started, and its journey and evolution to where you are today.
You bet. My background is software, so I was an executive at Microsoft for a long time. So I think like all entrepreneurs, I had that drive to do it on my own and not have necessarily that Microsoft brand on your business card. So I left the company in 2011, started my first company, and kind of cut my teeth, you could say basically, in a fintech startup that was all about online booking and scheduling for small businesses. That experience was great, but I think, like all entrepreneurs, you want to apply those learnings that you had from the first time to your next one. And it was about that time where cannabis had become legal in the state of Washington, and looking at that space and trying to figure out, well, what's the right opportunity. And a good friend of mine and my co-founder, we literally were sitting around a campfire back in 2014, and we're talking about, how do we get in this cannabis industry that's coming out of prohibition? It's going to be massive. And we knew that we didn't want to necessarily grow product or be a retailer. That wasn't what we were good at, but what we were good at is software. So we went to a couple of these cannabis shows, walked the floor, and right away realized nobody is thinking about software. So what a great opportunity when you have this, multi-billion-dollar industry being created, and yet no one was thinking about software. So that was kind of the roots of the company. And when we dove into it, what we recognized was not only were they not thinking about software, but there was this really bad problem, which is it was a cash-only industry because cannabis is still a Schedule I drug. And so the credit card brands didn't support any sort of sales in that industry. So it was really a combination of looking at big opportunity, cash-only industry, and then I had a little bit of a passion for crypto technologies at the time. I actually owned a couple mining machines at my house, and I was doing some Bitcoin mining. And it was kind of the marriage of all of it coming together in an aha moment, which was, well, what if we leverage the crypto element to this business? It made it so that customers could easily purchase cryptocurrency, but then they could spend the crypto on the cannabis and not take a credit card or a debit card. And so we spent probably the first 10 months meeting with lawyers, meeting with our state legislators, and just really talking through the model to make sure that if we did this, was it going to be licensed? Was it going to be fully compliant? And I think that, at the end of the day, as we talk about this industry, I think compliance is going to be the huge part. So that was really the kind of the history of how we got to where we're at. And we launched our first payments-only business in 2017. And we recognized that through that first year that this industry was way bigger than just solving the payments side of it. It really was a great software opportunity to bring a suite of products. And that's why we acquired a point-of-sale company, and we started to really go deeper into the technology offering and not just limit it to payment, but really provide a full suite of software. You could almost say it was my DNA of Microsoft days of thinking, don't just give them Word, but give them Microsoft Office, because everybody needs Word, everybody needs Excel, everybody needs PowerPoint, but you don't want to have to manage them or buy them independently. You really want to buy them as a bundle. And that's really the philosophy of POSaBIT, is that we want to be the one software provider for these dispensaries.
So technically, I guess you're in the fintech space, but the company is incorporating a blockchain technology as part of the business model. And like you said, you've expanded that out into other payment solutions. Is the cannabis space kind of the main space the company is focused on right now, or are there other opportunities outside of of the cannabis space in providing these types of payment solutions?
Yeah, good question. And we get this question a lot, particularly from our investors. And, when you look at cannabis, like I said before, it's such a huge opportunity. I think, the most recent numbers that ArcView came out with was $32 billion industry in 2022. So we'd be foolish not to take advantage of the opportunity right in front of us. So certainly the majority of our focus is on the cannabis industry, but that doesn't mean that this wouldn't apply to other industries. In fact, when we acquired the point of sale company, it's used in a bunch of corporate cafeterias already. So in addition to our cannabis industry, we run about 220 corporate cafeterias across the U.S. with our point of sale offering today. Big Fortune 500 companies that are actually using our technology. So as the technology evolves, I definitely see not only the use of crypto, but the full integrated solution migrating out into other retail industries as well.
Great. So what are the next milestones you're kind of looking to achieve in the next, 12, 18 months?
I think the most interesting part of this space, in particular when I'm talking about the cannabis space, is that it's so early that no one really understands who is buying products. And so if you go talk to a manufacturer that's in this space, they have very little understanding of, is it males, females, what's the age demographic, how frequently are they purchasing? Because imagine a cash-only world where you just come in and pay cash, it's anonymous, and you walk away. And as a supplier, you might notice that, okay, this week I sold 100 of my chocolate edibles, let's say, but you don't know who buys those chocolate edibles. And so what's great with POSaBIT is that because we have the compliance element built into the cryptocurrency purchase, we are required to scan a driver's license. So we, of course, don't use anyone's individual information from a privacy standpoint, but what we do get to have is the aggregate data. So imagine for the first time, if I'm a manufacturer and I'm producing, let's say, a chocolate edible, I can now go back to that manufacturer and I can tell you precisely who's buying this. I can say that it's, men between 45 and 55. They typically buy twice a week. And for one reason or another, let's say they buy on Thursdays. So now as a manufacturer, you're empowering them to maybe think about their marketing strategy, think about even the packaging on that product. So this is information that's a gold mine for these manufacturers. And that's really what POSaBIT, if you think of the evolution of what we're going to become over the next 12 to 18 months, is a lot about the whole big data play and how we can leverage a lot of the data that we've been able to accumulate over the last 2 years into this really powerful data experience for the entire supply chain.
Well, thanks for taking the time to give us some background on POSaBIT, Ryan, and we wish you guys all the best in the future.
Absolutely. Thanks, Jim, for your time.
That was Ryan Hamlin, CEO of POSaBIT. Their trading symbol is PBIT on the CSE exchange. That's it for this episode of NewlyTrading.com, the podcast. News on some of the newest publicly traded companies on the TSXV, OTC, and on the CSE exchanges. Newly Trading is brought to you by TheNewsWire.com, the most affordable newswire service in North America. Get started with your free trial. NewlyTrading.com and this podcast are solely intended for information purposes. If you're considering investing in securities, always consult a professional advisor. I'm Jim Ripley.